Now that we talked about goal models, we talk a little bit about use cases. So a brief overview on use cases. They are a method to document different functionalities of your system. And these can be planned functionalities, or they could be functionalities that of an existing system. These are relatively very simple models, and essentially there are two concepts that are the main building blocks of use cases. So these are use case diagrams and use case specifications. So it's very important that both of these are used in conjunction to have a complete use case of your system. So as you might know, UML already has a specification for making use case diagrams. So these are models to schematically depict functions from a user's point of view. And these are usually modeled in terms of interrelations of different functions of a system. And the general model basically gives the relations between the functions and the environment in which these functions operate. Because this course is about requirements engineering, we do not cover all concepts of how to do use case diagrams in this lecture. And you can find additional information in the literature to get more of an introduction towards how to make use case diagrams in particular. So a quick example of a use case diagram. So in this diagram you have a general navigation system. So if you look at the top right inside of the main box, you have a use case in which you would like to navigate to a destination. And basically there are two inclusions on the bottom left and the bottom right, which are retrieve the current position and input this destination. So these are two different use cases which are always required for a navigation to happen. But an extension of the system is when you also incorporate traffic information to the system, so an extend or extension of this use case. And this information generally comes from a traffic information server, and you can see those modeled as actors on the left outside of the main box. So very simple example of a use case diagram in UML. So this might already give you a small issue with use case diagrams, especially in the context of UML. They don't contain too many details about your model in general. They're very high level diagrams, so they're super abstract, and this kind of leads to many open questions when you create such a diagram. So in our example, how exactly does the driver communicate with the navigate to destination use case? So is there an order with the inclusion of the retrieve current location and input destination? So which one happens first? There is no clarity from just this diagram alone, which is why we have this concept of use case specification, which are also important to be used in conjunction with your diagrams. So this information that was missing is something that's provided by these use case specifications. And unlike diagrams, these are documented textually. So it's not just simple prose like an essay, but it's generally in the form of templates which are in tabular formats. And these templates will define concrete information that are contained in the use case specification. So a general use case specification template can prescribe a bunch of information. And in general, this information has various attributes for unique identification of use cases, some management attributes, and also attributes for the description of the use case itself. And we can give you some examples of specific use case attributes. So for example, you can have the trigger event, so events that can trigger the use case to happen, the actors involved in this use case, pre and post conditions of the use case. So in general, what conditions need to be satisfied for the use case to continue, and what conditions need to be achieved for the use case to be considered as complete. The result of the use case, so what happens once a use case is considered complete, the main scenario in which this use case is taking place, and alternative or exception scenarios. So what happens when something unexpected happens in your system. And you can also have various cross-references towards other use cases and other quality requirements that you describe in other parts of your requirements documentation.